Alright, round of 8 action here today then, as we have in the bottom right hand side, the red Terran player from eSports. This is HeroMarine. And he's playing against, of course, in the top left hand side, our pink brothers player is Krystianer. As we get this one up and rolling. Map 1 of our series, and we'll see what Krystianer is going to bring to us today. See if he can cause a bit of an upset here against HeroMarine or not. Definitely got some potential as we get set up there as a pro of Krystianer. Start off by heading down to the other side of the map, so I'm going to start by heading out across over there. And away we will go. So yeah, a little bit of early game movement as we get this going. I'm just gonna see Apro's kind of around. Naruto was like, "Yeah, I'll obs for you." Then I joined his camera and he's in like the top right-hand side of the map. I was like, "Well, this isn't very good observing." He's like, "Just AFK in the top right." I was like, "Oh, okay, I see how it is, mate." All right. We used the Apro was gonna escape out up to the top left-hand side, so it's gonna go pulling away there initially and getting brought out. Obviously just a good little scout to start off with, and we'll go forward from this and see just what will happen now between Krystianer and HeroMarine. How do these guys want to set up? What do these guys want to get up to? Definitely a few questions to be asked. HeroMarine generally in TvP just have that very strong kind of mid-game push. Hits strong, hits hard, and just stops his opponent ever really getting into a good position at all, so yeah, we see him just kind of, putting a stop to Protoss attacks and Protoss just kind of Protoss game plans very quickly a lot of the time. It's one of the things that's really just very good about his about this matchup from HeroMarine. He's just very consistently good at doing that, so yeah, excited to see what he brings us here against Krystianer. See how it goes and turns out. It's going to be seeing our Oracle coming through. The warp gate is about halfway along as well, so about halfway through there at the moment as we continue along and just get set up. And the probe is just going to return a few of these minerals to the Nexus. Beautiful stuff. So far so good. Pretty regular across the board here. And waiting to see what will happen next. Now let's watch this Oracle as it's going to go moving out across down the bottom right hand side. So it's going to go on a bit of a journey out down the bottom. So away it goes. It's going to be seeing it coming all the way around the back of this natural, and it's going to be looking for a little bit of a setup here as we just move across. It's going to activate and get rid of an initial SCV, so SCV will go down. Not a bad start. Just going to be seeing our blink on the way up as well then from Krystianer. Just getting that ready to go, and the Nexus down on the low ground, as now the Viking coming in there to try and push the Oracle back, so the defense against that initial Oracle is pretty darn reasonable as well. So far, just across the board, looking pretty good here. And, yeah, just now a push coming across. Let's see how HeroMarine will do on his first real push of the game. See what he can end up doing for himself in this scenario. I think potential to be pretty decent for him. See the Stalkers going through. We'll grab that Viking, so the Viking gets shut down pretty much straight away. And now we get rid of one of these Stalkers as we continue to push upwards. Heading our way across to the top left-hand side of the map. Stalker's still taking quite a bit of damage. The stasis ward's going to activate, though, catching everything, and HeroMarine was not ready for the stasis. And just a little bit haphazardly pushing in there, just sort of assuming that there was not going to be anything at all to stop him. For a stasis, that's bad, because now how do you save these units? The Stalker's going to start right on top. They're going to be able to target fire down the tank straight away. Okay, we're going to siege up this other tank here, so we are going to kind of fight this from afar as HeroMarine is going to try and make something of this. So, in we go as the Stalker start to take, I mean, like I say, a fair bit of damage, to be fair, initially. HeroMarine actually recovers that pretty well, to be fair. I mean, that could have been a whole bunch worse. Reinforcements coming through definitely helped a lot with it, as the super battery popping in. Krystianer is going to try and hold on against this continued attack. And like I say, HeroMarine is not making it easy for him in the slightest, making this a much more complicated setup than I imagine we were initially expecting. I really feel like after that first stasis ward, I was ready for this to just be, almost problematic for HeroMarine, and maybe Krystianer got some kind of pressure going, but not the case at all. Tank siege, Marine start a fight, couple of probes begin to go down. It's a little bit of damage being dealt across the board here as the Stalkers run their way into this natural expansion, blinking in on top of the siege tank. So, on top of the siege tank they go, picking their way now through these SCVs. It's going to be seeing more bio coming through on that bottom side and continue to push across into this. And, well, this is going to be interesting. I mean, the base trade, I think, prefers HeroMarine because I think his standing army is just that much better. Stalkers are good in the base trade because of their mobility, but I just don't see this being enough to make a difference in this regard, as we do have the probes continue to drop there. So 14 probes down, 18 SCVs dead on the other side. Yeah, I mean, the problem is these tanks just seem, I mean, to me they seem unbreakable, but let's see if Krystianer can find a way to work his way through this. I mean, it's just going to be difficult to break out of the base, right? And if you can do that, then maybe there is some hope for you, but that's obviously the question mark of, can you actually do that much at least? There is absolutely no guarantee here, as we just see our Stalkers continue to fight, and, well, they are looking to clean this up now. This is the moment. I mean, they might clean it up and push it back, but then HeroMarine is already re-established mining off of 2 bases, so he's already mining comfortably once again, and he's just back on track already, basically, right? Yeah, loses everything here, but like I say, it's not like he's not setting up himself back at home now again anyway, so really is just looking absolutely fine across the board with it, and really putting himself into a good spot again. I do think, credit to Krystianer, it was not an easy breakout, and he had to really be careful about how he picked that fight, but able to break out definitely definitely puts him in a spot where at least he's still in the game. Just not sure if it's necessarily going to be enough just yet. Let's see what happens as we do have our Stalkers fighting. Marine Marauder will take a whole chunk of damage. I'm going to get into the Stalker there, so a nice little pick off on that as we drop a little Revelation down, and just again trying to keep on top of this for the moment. The Stalkers, obviously, again, they have that mobility and they have that potential to maybe kind of trade well over time, but not sure. I mean, to make trading well over time really matter, you need to be able to, well, trade well. And right now, that's not immediately looking like the situation at all, as we just have our medevacs loading up and away they go. Oracle coming in as well, continue to try and just get involved here. Doing very well. 10 SCVs going down is some very serious damage being done, so I mean, that's fantastic. What a way to get started in this, is we're just going to be seeing a little bit of a recall up to that top side as well. Stalker's going to get brought back home. Well, I mean, army supply is heavily in HeroMarine's favor, but really good job from Krystianer. It could have been a lot worse for him. I mean, HeroMarine could have been up 12 workers now as well, and that would have been really, really painful. So, nice to stop that a little bit. Stalker's trying to fight the Bioforce in the back of the Natural, and just going to be seeing the medevacs loading up and going to boost those across into the main base. So into the main we go, unloading, a couple probes immediately going to take some damage off that. Widow Mines beginning to burrow up themselves now, and just going to be seeing the rest of this Bioforce getting ready to go. Widow Mines all burrowed. Zealot's going to start running in. The Widow Mines do great to start out with, and now we're going to see the super battery pop, and this is where HeroMarine might want to slow it down a second or two. It's just going to be seeing the medevacs in the main, just again trying to move Krystianer around. When Krystianer doesn't have a lot of units, this sort of play from HeroMarine is probably some of the best you can do. And it really puts you into typically just a very good situation, right? I mean, it does exactly what you're looking for in terms of just... It just abuses the fact your opponent doesn't have a lot of units to be working with right now, and really does try to make the most of that exact scenario. So, yeah, I mean, HeroMarine is just going to win this one out. He's going to finish this off with continued drop play, and that is going to be game called, and HeroMarine takes the 1-0 lead. A little bit of a quiet one, a little bit of a weird week or so because of Katowice coming up, but if you're enjoying, do not forget to hit that follow button to see when we go live in the future and all the other good stuff. So do check that out as we get ready to dive on in. To the top right-hand corner of the map, our red Terran player taking the 1-0 lead is HeroMarine. Bottom left, it is going to be our pink Protoss player from Krystianer. It is from Krystianer. From Poland is Krystianer. 10 out of 10 introduction, guys. From Krystianer, it's... Oh, yeah, that guy's name that I just said. Huh. Good one, Wardy. That was a really good one. I'm impressed with myself. Oh, I'm such an idiot sometimes. That was fun, wasn't it, guys? Enjoyable moments. Alright, gateway coming through, a simulator setting up, barracks and a refinery all coming through as well. So just getting all of that ready to roll at the moment, and just gonna see a little cleaning bot is up in this base as well. Let's follow our probe out to scout across the map here as HeroMarine. I mean, definitely wasn't perfect in that last game. That Stasis Ward had potential to really be deadly, I feel like. I know I've said it once, but I'll say it again. I really do think the Stasis Ward could have been the game changer that maybe Krystianer needed, right? You know, the way to slow down that pressure from your opponent and, you know, to go on from there, basically. It's going to be seeing our SCV and our probe. It's coming along. Command center set up on the natural. Reaper is on the way in, and just getting this up and running at the moment here. As we do see our Cyber Core going to finish up in the main base. So Cyber Core going to complete. Reaper is going to start to move out across the map and get ready to go on that one. Heading all the way down to the bottom left-hand corner. We do see again reactor, racks, command center. All of that coming through, and all of that just coming into play. Reaper hops up into the high ground, where it will be chased around a little bit by an Adept, so Adept able to put some damage out, and just going to be having this SCV back up into the main base as well. CC going to finish up on the natural and the third base coming into the main also. So all of that still just coming through here. As you see Reaper heading up into the main. And the Adept continue to chase that Reaper down. It shades. The Reaper gets away out onto the low ground. And away it escapes. We have our Oracle still just continuing up as well, so bringing that through here as we do have a couple of extra gateways on the way in. So all of that being brought into play at the moment as we just have our Twilight Council continuing to build on up at the moment. So all of that coming through, Twilight Council included, is going to be just pretty much what Krystianer's been doing in the PvT today. We saw it a little bit earlier from him when we watched his earlier game as well, where he plays this kind of just Oracle into Blink. It became the real kind of just meta, I think, actually, right? Just play Oracle into Blink. It's become, I mean, not that that's anything too crazy, right? That's like a very standard way to play, but we've seen a lot more single Oracle into Blink rather than like a Stargate into Phoenix or like a Twilight Council straight into Blink. So yeah, this one Oracle into Blink has been the kind of the go-to, a bit of a, I'll say a switch up, yeah. It is a little bit of a switch up to what we've been seeing before, so kind of cool. See something different like that as we do see the Oracle comes in, drops a little revelation down in the main base there, obviously keeping track of what is going on otherwise. And just going to be having our factory about halfway done with a couple of Marines continuing through, the SCVs continuing up. Just going to be seeing our Oracle back to the natural. Just trying to keep information. Obviously wants the info to make sure his third base is as safe as possible. Wants to be able to have this safely established on the map without any problems at all. Doesn't want to have to deal with that, right? And is so far is doing a pretty good case of... doing a pretty good job of making a case that that's going to be A-okay for the most part. So Oracle comes back around the upper right side and is going to be diving in for an initial SCV. So all workers will start to go down here, in fact, and we'll get some damage done. Just going to be seeing our Stalkers coming back along as well, so they're going to come back through. A couple extra Stalkers continue to warp in and just making their way out around the left-hand side. This is obviously, like I say, that follow-up off the single Oracle into the Stalkers. As they move across the map, we'll see what else can be done here. Of course, going to press through and just going to see these Stalkers going to grab another SCV, so that goes down as well. Now you got that bunker taking some damage. It just survives as the Bioforce comes stemming forward and chasing those Stalkers out of here. They're all going to get pushed back quite far. I mean, obviously HeroMarine needs to be careful. Medevacs are moments away, but his army at the moment is already kind of hurting, so it's going to need healing immediately. So he does maybe have to be a little bit cautious on the stims right now. Just needs to be a little careful with that. Stalkers at the front still setting up and just going to see the Bio Army standing out over there as well, ready to receive those Stalkers. At this point, I think the moment is kind of gone for Krystianer to really do much more than maybe grab a unit or two, especially with Stim and Medevacs in play. This is where the Terran Army generally kind of hits its kind of power point in general, so yeah, it's just going to be looking fine as we do clean up over on the right side. We do take that third base. Obviously, establishing a setup onto the map is important to do, and doing that pretty nicely at the moment to getting that established as the Stalkers come in. And just going to be seeing the Bioforces. Just going to continue through the center. Actually grabs a little kill on the Oracle there, so nice catches. Continue through and just going to be running across and again, attempting some more Stalker pickoffs, if at all possible. This Bioforce really does begin to collect together over on the right-hand side at the moment, so continues to set up for that and try to make something more of a move here, as we do have our army heading all the way down to the bottom side. Well, there's going to be one Colossus in that force that is not immediately scary, especially if you can get a jump on it. And he's going to have some damage on it, but the super battery pops and will begin to keep it safe. So, yeah, nice save on the Colossus, because I actually think HeroMarine could have dove on that a bit sooner, and then maybe Krystianer would have lost it. Then maybe he is in trouble, but yeah, for the way it played out, it was fine for Krystianer, and he keeps that Colossus alive, and that's pretty much all he needs to do, right? If you keep that Colossus alive, you're going to keep yourself in a good position, and that's really all you're aiming for in those scenarios, so nicely done. Let's just see our Medevacs and Bio units getting pushed away up to the top. Titan's still coming out, Marine Marauder still coming out, Starport in play, and just going to see a little bit of a run-bys here. Marine will start to take some damage up into that main base, so a few shots going off over there. And just having our group of units now making their way out onto the map as well. So away they go, heading out across the left-hand side. Maybe Krystianer will try and do something. Another Zealot run-by. He's setting up onto a fourth base as well, so HeroMarine not being able to break through. Now we're going to actually go for a big push from Krystianer. Dark Shrine halfway done, +2 might be done for this push if he slows it down a little bit, kind of on the setup here. Possible, but not a guarantee, right? It's Depends how quickly he commits to the fight. It depends if he just walks straight across the map and engaged immediately, probably not, but obviously usually there is some posturing and so on before a fight breaks out, so with that into account, then +2 probably would be done, although now he starts to move up this ramp already. Disruptor shot coming in as well, does connect on a few units initially. The Vikings there to help zone those Colossi out as well. Obviously, try and push those Colossi out of here, going to put you into a nice position if you can keep them from doing too much damage for too long. Right, Force goes stemming on forward. And he's just going to start moving up this ramp. Colossus taking some damage again. The Disruptors there to help defend and deflect everything else. The Vikings all coming to join up overhead and getting set to continue to push this army down to the bottom left-hand side. So set up for that a little bit as we do see our Vikings coming across. Colossi will take down those rocks and they will get shot down as well. So be able to pick that up and open up the map a little bit. So we've seen our army's kind of posturing here. Disruptor shot will zone from the left side. Yeah, that's reasonable. This Disruptor shot's scary, and it does clip the front edge of HeroMarine's army, so he had no option other than to keep running there unless he was going to do an on-the-move split. There's a lot of Vikings, though, and you can kind of see how this fight can go HeroMarine's favor pretty quickly, right? Enough Vikings just jump onto the Colossi at once, then there's really going to be some potential to make something happen, as we do see Disruptor shot firing through. Vikings continue to chase right now, and the Colossus gonna have to keep on running. This Disruptor shot lands just for a Marauder. Another Disruptor shot for a few Marines as well. And get rid of another Colossus there. That gets taken down. I'm just gonna be seeing the Stalkers and the Zealots continuing through. Looking to try and fight now. Another Disruptor shot, and that one actually lands dead center on a few units. It was very close when it launched, and that's obviously the kind of the scare factor. If it's close when it launches, has a good chance of getting a good amount of units. And HeroMarine losing SCVs behind this as well. Some harassment across the map is slowing him down. Well, definitely feels like HeroMarine's getting into a little bit of a troubled spot here. He's being chased down heavily and his army supply is dropping off. Krystianer doing a great job here in this game number 2 to perhaps, possibly, take this to a game 3. Disruptor's going to continue forward again there and just try to make something happen. Another couple of Disruptor shots, but this time, oh, this is really good for HeroMarine. Jumping on top of the Disruptors. Whenever you get the jump on Disruptors like that, it falls apart for the Protoss so quickly because, you know, you're relying on the Disruptor shots to scare the Terran off, but if it can kill the first Disruptor shot, the next Disruptor shot's not going to happen in time, and you could just see there the knock-on effect of being able to take down a whole bunch of Disruptors, one after the other, and HeroMarine gets a really good little trade out on that. SCV is pulling in to go and repair up the command center, so repairing that up on the top side as you do have the Stalker Disruptor Force coming back through. I mean, keeping this pressure of Krystianer, doesn't want to let go of what he's got going for himself right now. I think he knows he's got HeroMarine on the run, and while he did lose a few Disruptors previously, it wasn't enough to completely offset the advantage that he created for himself before now. So I think Krystianer has put himself into a very good spot, but just needs to find a final fight, and it seems as though that's going to be it with SCVs dropping the DTs around the map. He's just going to get the GG out of HeroMarine, and we are going to go to a game 3. We're tied up 1-1. And map number 3 here in the quarterfinals of ESL Open Cup Europe number 110. In the top right-hand side, our red Terran player is HeroMarine. In the bottom left, our pink Protoss player is Krystianer. As we get this one up and running. Krystianer really just held off some of the initial fights, kept that Colossus alive when we were talking about that was, I think, a particularly important moment of all of this. And was able to just put himself into, overall, just a pretty good spot, right? Just good position to be in, put himself in a good place. Was able to really kind of follow through and, you know, some good fights, didn't get overboard. A couple fights at the end were a little scrappy and maybe a little messier than he would have liked, but was able to take those and still do okay with them, so can't complain too much. just have Naruto apparently is a minute late on the intro, so just watch him spin around. He offered to observe for us, and I will take him up on the offer. Always nice when someone says they'll do the observing. He's like, I'm back, I'm sorry. It's like, it's okay. I didn't actually realize you weren't here until I only just joined your camera anyway. Believe it or not, I can observe the first minute of the game on my own accord. Well, Nexus coming down, orbital morphs, and I imagine a command center very shortly here from HeroMarine as well, as we see a pretty standard setup across the board. Nothing really too wild right away there. Marine does get through for the probe pickoffs. That's nice. Just getting rid of the scouting probe. Just means there's one less probe that goes back home and is able to get back into play or anything, right? So, it's always nice just to be able to deny that. Factory is going to set up in the main base, so gets that underway, and just having our setup continuing. Adept still chrono boosting out. The Twilight Council is going to start up as well, so that's going to be on the way in. Nexus will complete. Twilight Council is on the way up, bringing that into play, and going to be seeing our warp gate is already on the way across. A couple of probes coming through. The Stalker is on the way out. And yeah, a reasonable amount of setup at the moment. It's because, yeah, our Adept gets pushed back by a handful of Marines that are brave enough to go venturing out onto the map. Not every day you'll see Marines kind of play like that, but in this case we will see a bit of them. Alien starts to move on forward, and just going to be seeing this Adept continuing to shade its way through as